like test looks good. Okay. So welcome to Saturday Morning Coffee Rant with Dan on my own platform, my podcast. This is a platform where I actually will rant on. If you want to listen to rants that don't have profanity in them, or not very much profanity, please go to my radio show that I'm hosting now on Revolution.radio every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Revolution.radio. I'm very thankful to them for giving me a platform to speak on. So as a as the topic of this little coffee rant says, it's the solution, the problems and the solution to the world's problems, actually, in 15 minutes. So I'm going to really work really hard to get this done in 15 minutes. I just got done training, and sometimes my mind is clear when I've been able to train and let out that anger that should be there for everybody. We should be getting angry with what's going on in the world. So anyway. We all have got more than one personality, okay? I'm not bipolar or anything. I am lighthearted most of the time. I have a ironic sense of humor that comes from being in law enforcement. I even said on my radio show not that long ago that I don't want to be turned into one of these jaded individuals. And I won't. But I think my podcasts up to this point have shown that I can be, somewhat humorous and at the same time get very fucking angry with what's going on. And I think all of us need to be able to get angry. I'm not going to let, likability, affability, or anything like that, or what people think of me, affect how I feel at any given time about something. So, my book, Rise from Darkness, talked about unhealthy coping mechanisms, and I just went over 4 different shows on Revolution.radio, laying it down. I highly suggest going to that and getting that book, but a lot of what I'm going to be covering in the future are going to have a lot more to do with my first book, which is Violence and Ego. And ego-driven violence and people's encased, hardened, calcified egos to never be able to admit they're wrong is why we've got some of the problems in the world that we got. Now, there's a 3-pronged part to this problem, okay, and solution. The first part, okay, is not knowing or understanding that morals were not created by man, that man is not the arbiter of moral law, of cosmic law. God with a capital G is. And I could be losing people already. Oh, here we go, morals. Morals are not subjective to a culture, to a time period, to a man-made law, okay? And in order to know what morals are, you have to know what your rights are. And your rights are any action you take that doesn't initiate harm to another being. Those are any action that doesn't initiate harm is moral. Any action that does initiate harm is immoral. Now, someone's going to say, I'll say right now, drinking and driving, completely moral. I don't recommend it, but it is moral as hell to do. If you hit somebody with a car, it's not moral to do. Now, there's 4 culpable mental states that the criminal justice system or the man's court system will look at. And these culpable mental states are knowingly, purposely, recklessly, or negligently. So if I hit somebody with my vehicle and kill them, did I do it purposely? Did I do it knowingly? Was I reckless or negligent in that regard? The action itself is still immoral because I brought harm to somebody else. Under God's law, that is what is immoral. Human beings obfuscate morals in order to be able to justify us murdering one another. Okay? What's going on in the world right now is not man-driven. It's not human-driven. Humans are too fucking lazy to do all this, all these contrived wars, okay, all the psyops. This isn't all happenstance, and it isn't biblical. It isn't the book of Revelations. The book that the events in the book of Revelations, which were handed down to humans and told to be written by, these beings, they're the ones who are arbitrating what's going on right now. So understanding that morals are completely objective, written into the fabric of our reality on what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do, and what actions we're allowed to take and not allowed to take. We're allowed to take any action that doesn't harm others. We're not allowed to take action that does harm others. All governments harm. All governments enslave. All governments coerce. All governments do things that cause harm. Coercion is harm. Trespassing is harm. All these things are initiating harm to another individual. So at the base level, there is not understanding, at the plane of causation, not understanding what moral law is why we are in the state we are in, and why humanity can be fooled into murdering each other. Okay? I really wish my phone would quit going off. But anyway, the next part of this problem, or the next part of this solution to this problem, is teaching what objective morality is. Not following objective morality is the plane of causation that's causing what's going on in the world. Okay? Teaching it, and teaching what objective morality is and what it isn't, is the solution. And the third part of this whole thing is the philosophy in between, and it's the philosophy that will allow people to think for themselves. It's the philosophy that facilitates introspection and thought, so people can arrive at the correct conclusion themselves and not just be told. Trust me, I know. You can take a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. You tell me, to bounce right off my head. Help me to figure it out for myself, and I'll never forget it. These are tenets of teaching anything. Okay, as a martial arts instructor, it's the same thing, man. I'm always going to be somebody who's amazed at life and loves life, which is what it's love that's driving me to do, all of this. I don't do this for the money. But like in every major city, violence is starting to occur. Violence is occurring around me. The violence that's occurring is psyop, bought and paid for, in my opinion. I have no evidence. But these are criminals to begin with, violent criminals to begin with criminal violent records, who grew up in areas where no one cared about them. As a result, the final product is somebody who's not only easily bought and paid for and mind controlled, but they lack complete empathy for any other living being. And they're hiring these people to commit criminal acts. Okay? In order for me to go from a certain mode of teaching or a certain mode of being into a mode of survival, to be dealing with not just the plane of causation, but the plane of effects, which is all this violence, I kind of change it up a little bit. Okay? And I think everybody should be changing it up a little bit. The most important problem in the world today is people not understanding objective morality and not understanding what their actual rights are. That you don't need your rights written down on some parchment and handed to you by another human being to let you know what they are. Your rights are your sovereign at birth. Freedom's your birthright. And you have a right to defend yourself using force against violence, which is initiated against you or towards you. The initiation of violence. This non-human driven thing, these dark psychologists are turning humanity against one another perfectly, because they do it themselves. They'll have to face the negative consequential effects that are in correspondent to the actions they desire. Now, you can desire those actions, And if you don't actually commit them yourself, you're not going to have as many corresponding bad juju come back at you, to put it as simply as I can. But if you commit the action yourself, you're going to have really bad stuff come back to you. That's how the law of karma works. They know this. This is why they get us to murder one another. Okay? I'm very nice and affable and laughable and everything else, but when I see babies being thrown on bayonets and people being stripped naked and dragged through the streets and humiliated and beaten, I get fucking mad. And you should be getting mad too. There's a time to be nice and there's a time not to be nice. And in the plane of effects that we still have to deal with, we have to deal with what I wrote about in Violence and Ego, and that is self-defense. That is seeing the violence coming ahead of time so you could take preventative action before it hits you, because your reaction will never be faster than the action that is leveled against you first. So the tactical instructor in me comes out a little bit. I'm hoping I didn't pass up my time frame yet, because I said in under 15 minutes. Oh, cool. 11:11. Rock on, man. I'm into these synchronicities. So yeah, I don't stay mad. I don't stay in this mad state. But I don't think there's nothing wrong with getting anger and showing seriousness. Any action that adults agree and consent to is completely moral. Don't listen to what religion tells you. Okay? Real God with a capital G, the creative force of this universe, the creative energy that created all, actual God that we return to and become a part of after we expand and grow here and do what we're supposed to do here, which matters, then we go back. Not that man who's got a beard in the desert sky. That's the devil. That's not God. You are all lied to, okay? Judaism, Christianity, Islam, you are all fucking lied to. And you're using the books of those lies as an excuse to murder one another, which your books also tell you not to do. But then again, they also tell you to do. Make a decision. Quit living within all these contradictions. So to sum up, the problems of the world, the plane of causation, not understanding objective morality, under natural law, not understanding what morals actually are and what your rights actually are. The solution is understanding those things. The solution is being educated on what moral law is and what your rights actually are. And philosophy is what's going to breach the two things. Okay? Philosophy is like the fourth dimension that's connecting the third and the fifth. I can come up with the most stupidest analogies, but at any rate, philosophy is the way to get people to think. And if they can think on their own and start to understand that in the plane of causation, in the plane of effects, all we are experiencing now are the symptoms of what's actually happening in the plane of causation, which is people not living according to moral law, thinking that they make the law, they make the morals. It's up to them. Again, your rights are anything that you do that does not initiate harm to another sentient being. That's your right, period. You do not have a right to initiate harm. Those aren't your rights. Those are what can be considered immoral actions. And here I am, somebody who's never considered myself some arbiter of morality, but I'm getting fucking sick of seeing people die and people be tortured and children being murdered and no one getting fucking mad about it, and people are going to be more offended at me using the word fuck than they are about what's happening in this fucking world. Okay, with that said, nothing but peace and love. I don't stay mad. Love you, everybody. I think I'm under 15 minutes. Where am I at here? I'm at 14 minutes and 20 some odd seconds. This was a Saturday morning coffee rant, even though this is water. Again, if you want to have still a very authentic version of me just without the F words, come check me out 9 o'clock Thursday mornings on Coffee Rants with Dan on Revolution.radio, man. Also, we're going to be doing a summit pretty soon here, starting on the 15th. It's going to be, me and Corey Enderlot are going to be watching videos and discussing them, 1 to 2 minute videos. You can go to his site. I'm going to go slightly over 15 minutes, but I'm done talking about that. You can go to I'm going to just go to it real quick here because I've got it pulled up. Hold on a second. I might actually make this into I got so many things going on in my life. But this is something that's important. It's a good project. Corey's one of the busiest people that I know. And we need more 24-year-old young adults like him. I'm 53. And so we got two different age groups right now that are working together to bridge that gap, to work together for what we all want, which is freedom, which is what we need. We need that. We need to bridge as many gaps as possible. But it's the Liberator 2 showcase. What is the most important thing that people need to know? There's going to be 60 speakers, 60 different people who send things in. You can still send something in if you want, but this is what it is. I'll get up close and personal with it. Yeah, there it is, right there. Liberator 2. Go to the Liberator, Liberator.us, and you can read articles I've written for that online publication. You could also see what you need to do to become a part of it if you want to. We still got a week or two away before we do it, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that it helps in some kind of way. Just I can't stress this enough. Addressing things at the plane of causation is important to everlasting change, but don't do it while neglecting the plane of effects, which you now currently reside in. There needs to be a balance between both. That's the only thing I'd say. With that being said, man, nothing but love again. And I went slightly over 15 minutes, but less than 17. Let's get to exactly 17 before I stop at 7.
Stand and fight. Live by your heart. Always one more try.